Roger Reaves, welcome to the program.
Happy to be here.
We have a lot of questions for you today.
All right, I'm ready.
All right, good. Good. Well, I think the best place to start this is kind of towards the beginning of why don't you just start with where you got into aviation and where you learned to fly?
All right, it was 1964, and I went out to the airport in Douglas, Georgia, and there's a crop duster right there and giving rides or whatever, I don't know, and I think $10. And so I got in, and he took off and went between two pine trees that was going to take the wings off the airplane. And he just turned it right up on the edge and went through, and I thought, damn, that's pretty nice now. That scared me. But I didn't think he was going to kill himself, really and truly.
Sure.
So we lived 25 miles away, and so I said, I want you to fly over my house. Now, I just got married, and Maury was out there. So I flew, and we circled around, and Maury came out, or I think she was hanging clothes on the clothesline. And he cut the engine, and we just circled right down, and I held out the window, hey, honey. And she waved back and jumped up and down. We cranked that thing on back, and he said, now, find Douglas. Well, I was as lost as a loon. Everything was just pine trees every which way.
Sure.
Finally, I found a highway and followed it back. So I was hooked.
So when you started flying, the cost of training must have been minuscule compared to today. Do you even remember what you would pay to get lessons?
I don't think it was like $10.
Yeah.
You know, and it was what I got some of my time in was an Aeronica Scout.
Okay.
And it didn't even have rudder pedals in it. You know, you just turned the wheel and it did the rudder and all. And it had Death Trap written down on the side of it. The guy bought it for $700.
And so did you stick with it with your you did that flight and you're excited? I mean, did you do it every week, or how often would you be able to do your training?
Well, it was 30 miles to the town, so I didn't go over there much. And so it wasn't anything that I was looking forward to it, or I just enjoyed it when I had a chance to.
Yeah.
And so then after I got some hours, I remember after 8 hours, he stepped out of the plane. I believe it was a 150. And my hands were sweaty as I took it around the pattern and did 2 or 3 touch and goes. And from that time on, I was pretty much hooked.
Yeah.
And I had read a book called Jungle Pilot. And it was the book about Nate Saint. And he couldn't go to World War II because of a knee injury. And he was a Christian, and he wanted to help the missionaries. They'd have to walk sometimes 3 weeks to get their mail. So he took a Piper Cub and put a bucket in it, and a rope on it. And I guess he'd get up 500, 600, 700 feet, and he'd let that bucket down right at their feet, just like a cowboy does with a lariat. And he'd had a lid on it, and he'd ask them what they wanted and had put their mail in it. They'd put the mail back and say they needed some penicillin. And he had a little wheel, push a button, it roll it up. And I thought, wow, what kind of flying? I'd love to do that. And so then after a while, they would carve out a little strip for his little Piper Cub. And that's how he started the outfit Missionary Aviation Fellowship. And so I learned to fly with the idea of becoming a Missionary Aviation Fellowship pilot and being a bush pilot in Borneo and
right.
That.
Sure.
And why didn't you do it?
Well, I wanted to, and I went broke farming, and we moved out to California. That's another story with some liquor steals and bloodhounds.
You read all about that one in the book.
Yeah.
That's right. And so I came out, and I went to see them. They was out, I think, Pomona, California, and they were happy to have me.
Yeah.
But they wanted me to go 3 years to airplane mechanics. And and so I just had my wife. We had a little girl, 2 years old. I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't go to school for 3 years at that time. So I got a job on the fire department there in Redondo Beach. And so I was driving the back of a hook and ladder truck and only had to work 9 days a month, hauling antiques out of Missouri. And I made quite a bit of money. So I bought me a 1/3 interest of a Cessna 152. Man, I flew the pants off of that little thing.
What would that have been? A 1/3 interest in a Cessna 150?
$1,100.
I was going to say, if it's less than $1,000, I'm not going to leave.
Yeah.
So I flew that thing all the way up to Fairbanks. Went up up on the coast, which was rather dangerous, and I got sucked in between two clouds, and I come close to maybe dying in between that. And I came down, and I finally picked up Sitka VOR. I had an 80-mile-an-hour wind blowing me back over the ocean over the mountains.
Wait, so you were in the clouds?
Yes.
Okay.
And I didn't know.
And you had a private pilot certificate. That's it, right?
That, if that.
If that, yeah, maybe not even that. Well,
I wouldn't.
neither confirm nor deny that, huh?
So you go in depth. This story you tell in your book, Smuggler, and you talk about this was maybe your first near-death experience in an airplane. Tell our listeners that story of when you're stuck in the clouds and you're lost. Run us through that.
Well, I was just following the coast up, and then little clouds, I get over them, and it opens up a little, and all right, I climb a little, and then I see, then there's something on top of me, and all right, I'll go in between them. It looks nice and clear, so I go on maybe 100 miles on my course, and then it closed in. And I turned around, and it was closed in. It must have been temperature and dew point the same all over the world, it looked like. Well, boy, I could hold it. And I didn't realize I was being blown back over the Rockies. And I was being blown back hard. And so I got ice on the wings and windshield. And boy, it scared me. And so I came down. I said, okay, I'm going to go down and see what I can see. And the first thing I saw was some hills and some rocks right close to me. I wheeled over the other way, turned to the right real hard and pulled back. And the other guy's in there with me screaming, we're going to die, we're going to die, we're going to die.
Jeez.
And at this point, the instrument panel, had you ever even done any training on flying instruments, or did you know, like, oh, there's an attitude indicator?
And that was all I knew how to do, a little bit of that, and I could do it. And the heading, but sometimes it was like, ooh, I'm going way too fast. Okay, I better pull up. I could tell by the sound of the...
Yeah.
Jeez.
So I didn't have any radio contacts at that time. I was over the mountain. So then I got very, very faint Sitka VOR, and it come in intermediately and swing to the left. So I turned that way and went towards Sitka. And then both tanks were just sitting dead empty.
Oh, yeah.
I knew I didn't have enough fuel. I said, I've got to get down. I don't want to be landing in the trees or whatever in a dead stick. I want to at least have some control.
Right.
Sure.
So I went on down out of those clouds, scared to death that I was going to run into the side of that mountain again. And, what a beautiful sight. But the wind was blowing and the foam was coming up on them mountains and the rocks were just spewing and big trees everywhere and little mountains. And now by this time I'm picking up Sitka real hard. And so I'm declared emergency. And I came in and they said the wind is 80 miles an hour from the west. And of course, that's about all that thing would do.
Right, yeah.
So I kept rocking my wings to keep hoping if there's any fuel to pick it up. And so whoever it was on there said, just land parallel to the runway on the parking area there.
Yeah.
And I did, and they came around with a fish truck, and two men jumped out and put ropes to the struts and to keep me on the ground.
Oh, my God.
What was it like? Okay.
And that was his first life.
Yeah. That was life number one.
Life number one of, I don't know. We'll have to count them as we go here.
So you said you had a passenger with you who was kind of freaking out. At any point, did it feel like he sort of accepted his fate, or was he just freaking out the whole time?
I don't know, but I was mad with him. I wanted to slap him in the mouth. Just shut up. I feel the same way.
Yes, I'm trying to concentrate here.
And since then, maybe that's what did it, but I never did want to have a co-pilot with me after that. Or maybe before either. I just didn't need it because people's fear bounces off of each other.
Yeah. Right.
My own is not that bad sometimes. It's bad enough all by itself.
Right.
You get somebody else screaming and they're just like,
it starts
unnerves you. Yeah.
Right.
Wow. So you land in Sitka and you get out and kiss the ground, or what was the first thing?
What happened? Or did you go get a drink, or what was
I don't remember, but they took me out. I remember the gal on the radio. She was real nice. She invited me to supper. And so I went to her house, and she had the halibut steaks. Oh, it was really nice. And she asked me, was I married? And I said, yes. And I think she was a little disappointed. So I was like, sweet to her. It really was,
Wow. And so did you stick the airplane on a barge and ship it back, or did you actually fly all the way back to
I went right on up to Juneau and then right on up to Anchorage. And then from Anchorage, I stayed there for a few days and went to Fairbanks, and then followed the highway back. And I had a close call on the way back. There was a pack of wolves out there on the tundra. And I had a little camera there, and I thought, wow, that's nice. And they had one old big big one at the front, and he just showed his teeth. And I slowed that little 150 down, and I was circling real close, and with my camera out that window, and that sucker stalled. And I mean, it almost inverted. And I went skimming across the tundra with the top of my airplane, trying to remember to push it forward instead of pull back.
Oh my gosh! And the passenger's still with you?
No, the passenger's gone.
He's gone.
He'd had enough at that point.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, so that was.
You still have those pictures?
Pardon?
Do you still have the pictures of the wolves?
They're somewhere. Yes, they are.
That almost cost you your life.
Yeah.
All right, so that's life number 2.
Okay,
right there. Hey guys, Dylan and Max here. Thanks for watching the video.
Listen to the full interview at the link in the description and subscribe to the 21.5 Show anywhere podcasts are heard.